This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
This episode is brought to you by Experian. Are you paying for subscriptions you don't use but can't find the time or energy to cancel them? Experian could cancel unwanted subscriptions for you, saving you an average of $270 per year and plenty of time. Download the Experian app. Results will vary. Not all subscriptions are eligible. Savings are not guaranteed. Paid membership with connected payment account required.
This is Optimal Relationships Daily. 3 ways social media makes it harder to get emotionally divorced, by Dr. Margaret Rutherford of drmargaretrutherford.com. Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday, and thank you so much for joining us over the weekend. I'm Greg Audino, your host and narrator, and this is ORD, of course, where I read to you daily from great blogs that discuss relationship building. And today's post will focus on the aftermath of divorce or breakups when moving on is particularly difficult because of social media. Let's learn about why and how to combat that as we optimize your life. 3 ways social media makes it harder to get emotionally divorced, by Dr. Margaret Rutherford of drmargaretrutherford.com. Perhaps the hardest part of divorce is not the legal part. Even given tedious interrogatories or hard-to-reach attorneys, all that may seem like a drop in a bucket when you're trying to trudge through anger, grief, loneliness, feelings of failure, as well as trying to help kids deal with their own feelings. Getting emotionally divorced can be the actual kicker. Maybe you're watching your ex make changes that you'd been begging them to make. Maybe someone else is being introduced to your kids within a month of the divorce, or even before. Maybe you've lost friends who sided with your ex. Maybe you've had to move, or you've had drastic changes to your finances. What can be worse is if your kids are manipulated by your ex. Perhaps your ex is making sure that the terms of the divorce are followed in minute detail with no compromise. Or they've spread lies about you having an affair. Or they're telling your kids you're a loser or were at fault. At its worst, that's called parental alienation. It can be very hard, and for a long time. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and other social media likely fuels those complicated feelings. These techie tools we embrace to connect us with others can also keep us tethered to our exes, even when we want the opposite. How does social media make emotional divorce harder? Number 1, it makes it too easy to become obsessed with your ex. The process of letting go can be prolonged because you know things through social media that prior to 20 years ago or so would have been impossible. Gone are the days when you can move on with a measure of secrecy and have a fresh start, or be happily ignorant of your once spouse's new life. Years ago, if you had a moment of weakness and wanted to spy on your ex, you'd have to drive slowly past their house, or awkwardly ask a friend for information, or worse, quiz your children. All you have to do is open an app, and there they are right in front of you, probably trying to make their new life look as normal and happy as possible, as people do on social media. Mutual friends liking pictures of your ex on vacation with the person that they had an affair with? That stings. Seeing Instagram photos of destinations that you always dreamed of visiting? Stinks. And if you're blocked or unfriended, then you can become obsessed with finding out details and beating them at their own game. It's much healthier to focus on your own healing, as you've got a rough enough ride without making it rougher. Number 2, it's too difficult to contain your desire to either win the fight or get emotional closure. Remember all the emotions mentioned previously in this article? Any one of those is tough to work through. Whether through texting, private messaging, or more public Facebook posts, it's difficult to not use any and all forms of communication to make your point, just one more time. And it's so easy and convenient to have a reaction to something without taking the time to process and consider the best response. Instead, you can fire off a quick text while still in the heat of the moment because, boom, got your feelings out. But you also have maybe created a little more chaos. Many yearn for an emotional closure that may never happen. I'm guilty as charged of this. Months after my divorce, my ex would call me very late at night. One day my therapist asked me, "So why do you pick up the phone?" I heard some lame excuse come out of my mouth. Well, it could be about one of our friends being in trouble, or maybe he's going to allow me to see his kids after all, or the extra lame, maybe it's my mom. My mother went to bed at 9 o'clock and did not wake until dawn's light. I was embarrassed by my answers. He looked at me and quietly asked me one more time, "So, why do you pick up the phone?" There were so many real reasons. I desperately wanted closure. I was lonely. I didn't want him to hate me. I still wondered if I'd done the right thing. Maybe he'd understand my side. Maybe I'd understand his. Or maybe it would serve as a reminder of how hurtful the relationship had been. Finally, I realized I had to get closure by myself. I had to reach out and connect with others. I had to detach from whatever his feelings or opinions were. I had no control over that, and I had to give myself time to develop a new normal, one where I'd trust myself again. And number 3, it's harder to create new, healthier communication habits. It's hard to be angrily texting at 1:30 a.m., then see each other at a parent-teacher conference and try to be cordial. Continuing the same fighting that was occurring during the marriage is simply not helpful. You didn't fix it then, you're not going to fix it now, at least not anytime soon. You both need to learn how to communicate on a different level, one without a lot of emotion and baggage. With time, you both may get some perspective and be able to engage differently, without the animosity and defensiveness that once characterized your conversations. You can only control your end of the relationship, and getting emotionally divorced so that you're not looking for anything from them other than a co-parent needs to be your focus. You just listened to the post titled, 3 Ways Social Media Makes It Harder to Get Emotionally Divorced by Dr. Margaret Rutherford of drmargaretrutherford.com. And stick around for my commentary coming right after this.
Whoa, landing an account this big will totally change my landscaping business. It's gonna mean hiring more guys and more equipment and new trucks for the new guys to drive the new equipment in. I don't know if I'm ready.
You can do this, and Ford Pro FinSimple can help. Our experts are ready to make growing pains less painful for your business with flexible financing solutions that meet the needs of your business today when you need them. Get started at fordpro.com/financing.
Making everyone happy on vacation isn't easy, but you know what is? Going to Aruba. All you have to do is walk out your door to find pristine pools, relaxing white sand beaches, and an island teeming with outdoor activities that'll put a smile on any face. You won't just feel great, you'll all feel great, filled with a calmer, more peaceful vibe that radiates Aruba's warmth. And the best part is, it never fades. That's the Aruba effect. Plan your family trip at Aruba.com.
This podcast is supported by FX's English Teacher, a new comedy from executive producers of What We Do in the Shadows and Baskets. English Teacher follows Evan, a teacher in Austin, Texas, who learns if it's really possible to be your full self at your job while often finding himself at the intersection of the personal, professional, and political aspects of working at a high school. FX's English Teacher premieres September 2nd on FX. Stream on Hulu.
Okay, and thanks to Dr. Margaret for this really validating and tech-conscious post. I assume this is just what some people needed to hear, should they be shaming themselves for how difficult it seems to be to break the spell of their ex. And while the obvious solution might seem to be removing yourself from social media, at least for a time, I hope that before doing that or taking other action, you can first give yourself some grace. Social media certainly makes it more difficult to get over people in this day and age. There's nothing wrong with you for taking a little while. Whether it's you seeing their social media accounts, your friends talking about them, or what have you, it's just not as easy to simply put someone in the back of your mind anymore. Past conversations and pictures, they're all a click away. The list goes on. So, I'm saying acknowledge that. And also remember that all these barriers that make it difficult to let someone leave your mind are absolutely not necessarily the same as a sign that you've done something wrong or should be with them. That's probably the biggest takeaway. Perhaps the worst part of this whole thing is when we start to think to ourselves, I can't get them out of my head. Maybe we really should be together. Sometimes, yes, relationships are best to be rekindled after self-work and couples therapy, etc. But just because someone stays active in your mind does not mean that there is a healthy attraction there or some message from the universe telling you to get back with them. So think about that today, everyone. It's time to get going for now. But as always, I thank you for tuning in and being aware and present in your relationships. Have a great day, and I'll see you back here again tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.